Hi everyone, my name is Kaamil, and I'm here with Congresswoman Terri Sewell of the 7th Congressional District here in Alabama, and we're at Miles College talking about one bill in specific. But before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about the Congresswoman who graduated from Princeton, Oxford, and got her JD in law from Harvard Law School.
But I'm from Selma, Alabama. Don't forget Selma High School. Saints.
Could you tell us a little bit about yourself first?
Sure. Well, it's an honor for me every day to represent my home district in Congress. I'm in my 8th term representing Alabama's 7th district, and it is a civil rights district. It includes the historic cities of Birmingham and Tuscaloosa and my hometown of Selma and the Black Belt. And I interned for my member of Congress, those many years ago when I was in college. I think you have to see it to know you want to be it. And my takeaway was that I think I could do that, and I think I could do that pretty good. And so it was that plant that's what really planted the seed for me to run for Congress. And the opportunity to represent my home district is one that is a huge responsibility as well. Everybody I love lives in my district, and my district has lots of needs. And we know that it's unacceptable, even in a time of perilous times that we live in now, with an administration that really has had a lot of the programs that are so instrumental, whether that's healthcare, whether that's voting rights, really under threat. And so I think that it's important that they know that I'm fighting for them each and every day, irrespective of who's in the White House. It's unacceptable for us not to deliver on the promise of better opportunities and more resources, and so that's what we fight for every day.
Of course, and so we're just coming off an amazing panel on gerrymandering, and in specific, I wanted to talk to you about the 2013 Supreme Court case with Shelby County here in Alabama. And I wanted to talk to you about how that and other rulings, such as the Louisiana ruling in 2026, have affected two immense, aspects and parts of the Voting Rights Act.
Absolutely.
And especially so Section 5, which talks about preclearance, and Section 2, which allows us to
file a lawsuit
file
we
lawsuits.
See voter dilution and the diluting of the votes of minorities.
And so Section 2 now, we actually have lawyers having great defenses off the claims of partisan gerrymandering instead of racial. They say that it's so hard to discriminate both of those that us advocates really cannot do anything about that. And as someone who just turned 18 years old myself, and will be voting in my first election come August 11th, what can we actually do? What is the call to action for myself, for immigrant parents, for people who are the constituents in the counties and in the districts that we serve? What should we do?
Well, first of all, we have to vote. I mean, so often our communities think that it's hopeless. Our vote doesn't matter. If our vote didn't matter, they wouldn't be working so hard to take our vote away. And that's exactly what's happening. And the threats are everywhere, whether that's states that decide that you have to show a certain form of ID in order to actually get your ballot. That's a form of discrimination because not everybody has a limited number of but you know what? In order to get the kinds of resources we deserve and need in our communities, we have to vote like our lives depend upon it. And so I say to your generation, I say to my constituents, no matter what, whether it's raining outside, whether it's beautiful and sunny, every election we should be voting. If any district understands the importance of the right to vote, it's the ones right here in Alabama. We were on the front line of folks fighting to vote. It was in my hometown of Selma, Alabama, that John Lewis and those foot soldiers on Bloody Sunday were bludgeoned on the bridge for the right of all Americans to vote. And 61 years later, we're still fighting. We're still fighting to maintain the progress that they made. In fact, I carry the seminal legislation in Congress to restore the full protections of the Voting Rights Act that were really gutted by the Shelby decision and by Calais. In the Shelby decision, the Supreme Court gutted the ability of the Justice Department to come in and to stop bad legislation from happening before it happened, legislation that would cause voter discrimination or voter suppression. And without preclearance, we've seen states go amok, including our own state of Alabama, when it comes to right to vote. And I want to be very clear. You should be able to show who you are in order to vote. So we're not talking about ID. as being a bad thing. What we're saying is when you limit the ability to vote by only allowing hunting license and passports, people can't afford passports. That's another modern day form of poll tax if you can't afford the $142 to get a passport. So what we're doing is we're picking winners and losers. We're picking who can vote easily at the ballot box and who can't. And it's unacceptable. And I think the only way that we can get over that is vote our way out. We have to make sure that we're voting for people who, and hold those people accountable for delivering for our communities.
Yeah, and so when it comes to talking about making good trouble, you know, both yourself and I are both, you know, congressional debaters all throughout high school, and you obviously on the Hill now. And so when it comes to inspiring our youth, you know, I come from a place where our football and sports teams have 6-figure upkeeps, but our speech and debate team can't even have 30 members. I'm not saying sports aren't important, but what gets us actual representation, and how can the youth foster that in their communities?
Yeah, I think you have to meet your peers where they are. If your peers spend an awful lot of time on these mobile devices, then I think that you have to use social media to get the word out and to get the truth out. So often we hear disinformation or misinformation about elections. I want you to know that when people talk about all this fraud going on with elections, that's simply a lie. It's 0.001% of fraud in voting. Now, why are people talking about it so much now, and why did the president give this address on national television to talk about voting? And that's because I believe this president wants to take us back, not forward. That he would rather try to nationalize or federalize elections by coming up with reasons why our elections are not secure. That's simply not the truth. The truth is that our American elections are safe, they're secure. We want to make sure that you can vote and that your vote counts. And I think the best way to do that is to make sure that we're funding the ability for local and state officials to actually conduct safe and secure elections.
Of course. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time.
All right.
And I look forward to doing these very, very soon.
Sounds great.